Some of the longest books I've ever read are fantasy novels. No surprises there. Books by authors like George R. R. Martin, Brandon Sanderson, Robert Jordan, Frank Herbert, and Stephen King, to name a few. But there's another 400,000 plus word novel I've read, and it isn't fantasy, science fiction, or horror. That, of course, as you can guess from the title of this video, is Alexandre Dumas's The Count of Monte Cristo. Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Stephen Clark. I am a writer, a reader, and this channel is all about my passion for both. When I shaved my scruff yesterday, I decided to leave my mustache because I thought it made me look very dastardly, which is perfect for the setting, the world, The Count of Monte Cristo. Fantasy is all about epic scopes, vast worlds, intricate politics, and long character-driven plots. And The Count of Monte Cristo delivers on all of these. Edmond Dantes starts as a simple sailor, but his journey spans years, continents, and countless betrayals. Much like our favorite fantasy protagonists, his story isn't just personal. It's tied to the fate of powerful families, financial empires, and the political backdrop of post-Napoleonic France. If you've ever tried writing your own fantasy novel, you know that world building is more than just geography and drawing a map. It's about social structures, intrigue, and power struggles. Dumas weaves all of these seamlessly, showing an epic story that doesn't need dragons to feel magical. And I think that's because he presents France in a way that makes it feel so visceral and so alive. Let's talk about one of the most compelling aspects of fantasy. It's the characters. As much as we love magic systems, all of those things, they are really owned by interesting characters that draw us into the story and make us believe in the world. In The Count of Monte Cristo, Edmond Dantes is a deeply flawed, revenge-driven protagonist, but he's so likable and easy to love and root for. Edmond Dantes follows a trajectory we see all the time in modern epics, from innocence to betrayal, suffering to rebirth, revenge to something sometimes more complicated. I'm reminded of characters like Kaladin from the Stormlight Archive. He's another character who is broken by betrayal, remade through his trials into something stronger, constantly grappling with whether vengeance is the answer or, how to be honorable in his situation. There's also characters like Geralt of Rivia in The Witcher, who might not be driven by revenge, but follows a similar arc, learning that justice isn't always black and white. That's why I think Dumas embraced something that modern fantasy writers have also come to understand. Readers love watching a character crawl out of the abyss and come back with a new identity. It's cathartic, it's powerful, and it keeps us hooked. Translator and scholar Robin Buss had this to say of Dumas's treatment of characters. I think this is really interesting. Dumas's novel is dictated by character, but it is character viewed more as an imaginative construct than as a psychological novelist would conceive it. The Count himself is a poetic character, a creature of the imagination who draws on elements from myth as much as from everyday psychological observation. I think that's one of the just captivating things about The Count of Monte Cristo. Even though it is a novel absent of magic, it somehow manages to feel very magical. And I think in part that's due to the larger-than-life nature of the Count himself. If you love intricate, slow-burning plotting and fantasy, I'm thinking of Song of Fire and Ice by George R. R. Martin, or even things like The Lies of Locke Lamora. Dumas was already doing this nearly 200 years ago. The Count of Monte Cristo is a masterclass in long-term strategy. Edmond doesn't just get revenge. He plays the long game, gathering allies, manipulating his enemies, and setting up traps that take years to pay off. The idea of progress and promise and payoff is very strong in this novel because it was set up from the beginning what kind of adventure Edmond Dantes was going to be going on, what he was after, to award justice to the people who did good to him and revenge to those who wronged him, I found myself just dying to turn the page next. Fantasy often asks, what is justice? What happens when you finally get the power you sought? Edmond Dantes is the ultimate man becomes more than a man, not through magic, but through wealth, knowledge, and his ruthless cunning. Compare this to Rand from The Wheel of Time, who struggles with whether he's a messianic figure or just a man being pushed towards something inevitable. Even Vin from Mistborn starts as a street urchin and becomes something mythic. Dumas gives us a protagonist who forges his own fate, and that's exactly what modern fantasy does best. So what can writers take from the Count of Monte Cristo? Well, even though it's not a book teeming with magic, and it is still such a strong, intriguing novel. And that's made me realize that epic fantasy isn't just about magic, even if that is one of its number one characteristics. It's about scale and world building, even in a real setting. It's about characters, transformation on the most epic scale you can imagine. Ultimately, it's complex plot lines, multiple characters that help bring the scale of this world together, make it feel whole, real, and so intriguing. I think there's something pretty amazing about the epic tale Dumas was able to weave without needing to rely on tropes like dragons and elves. And not to say that anything is wrong with those, but if you're a fantasy writer, you want to write an epic, I honestly highly recommend that you read The Count of Monte Cristo. It's going to teach you so much about characterization, point of view, plots, progress, payoff, intrigue. There's so much we can learn from what he's done. Then, by all means, take the fantastic magic and battles or whatever it is that you envision from your epic. I can guarantee that if you world build, if you present your society like Dumas presented France, you are going to be wildly successful. All it takes is just that little infusion of magic. And I think The Count of Monte Cristo could easily be one of the greatest fantasy epics of all time. That's just what I think. Maybe you disagree. Maybe you think it is a boring and ridiculous novel. If that's the case, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you would love to see more like this, or you want to hear more about my progress as a writer, I am posting weekly updates and blogs about my various projects, my creative process, and also my thoughts on books, writing, publishing, all of that. If that sounds interesting to you, please subscribe. I would love to hit 50 subscribers after the release of this video. Fingers crossed. We are halfway there. Once again, I am Steven. This has been a pleasure, and I hope you have a wonderful day. See ya.